There comes a moment in every life when the noise fades, the room empties, and you're left alone with a simple, brutal question. When life gets hard, will you rise or will you break? Not the version of you everyone sees, not the version you pretend to be. I'm talking about the version of you that wakes up at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling, wrestling with the weight of everything you don't say out loud. Life has a way of pressing on the very places you thought were healed. It tests your patience, your faith, your strength, your identity. It throws storms that don't ask for permission and challenges that arrive without warning. Hard moments aren't gentle. They don't knock. They break in. And in that instant, something inside you has to decide how to respond. You don't rise because the situation is easy. You rise because something inside you refuses to let the moment define you. You rise because even when your knees shake, your purpose stands. You rise because deep down, you know there is more inside you than what your fear tries to tell you. Breaking is not about weakness. Breaking is what happens when you let the pain speak louder than the truth. Breaking is what happens when you let the storm convince you that it has authority over your future. But rising is what happens when you remember who you are. You rise when you tell yourself in the face of doubt. You rise when you choose to move forward even when every voice inside you screams to turn back. You rise when you refuse to let the wounds of your past write the next chapter of your life. You rise when you understand that pain is a moment, but identity is a choice. Life will give you reasons to break. It will give you loss, betrayal, failure, silence, pressure, heartbreak, and fear. But every time life offers you a reason to break, it also gives you an opportunity to rise. Rising doesn't mean you're fearless. It means you're willing. It means you take the next step even when you feel unprepared. It means you show up even when you feel empty. It means you believe even if that belief is just a whisper. The truth is you've risen before. You've survived things you never thought you would. You've healed from wounds you once believed would never close. You've walked through seasons that tried to bury you and you didn't break. You may have bent. You may have fallen. You may have crawled. But breaking, no, you're here. You're breathing. You're standing. That alone is proof that rising is in you. When life gets hard, the world may look at you and see a person under pressure. But I see someone being shaped, someone being prepared, someone being stretched into a stronger, wiser, more powerful version of themselves. The storm is not evidence that you're weak. It's evidence that the strength within you needed a place to show itself. Hard moments do not come to destroy you. They come to introduce you to the parts of yourself you haven't met yet. So when life gets hard, when the weight becomes heavy, when the path grows dark and the answers feel far away, don't ask, what is this building inside me? Because the rise that comes after the breaking point is the rise that changes everything. And in that pivotal moment, when the pressure is on and the choice is yours, remember this: you were not designed to break. You were designed to rise. Your inner dialogue determines your board direction because the most powerful conversations you will ever have in your life are the ones no one else hears. Long before you take a step, make a choice, or open your mouth, you speak to yourself. And that internal conversation acts like a compass. It doesn't just influence your actions, it programs them. It tells your energy where to go, your confidence how to stand, your courage when to rise, and your fear when to quiet down. People often look at their circumstances, their past, or their environment as the reason they feel stuck. But what keeps most people trapped is the silent narrative playing on repeat in their minds. When your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, you walk in doubt. When it is filled with fear, you shrink yourself. When it is filled with shame, you sabotage opportunities because you don't believe you deserve them. But when your inner dialogue speaks truth, strength, and possibility, your life begins to move in the direction of those words. You show up differently. You make decisions with clarity instead of desperation. You take risks others avoid because your inner voice becomes a source of certainty, not confusion. Many people think their thoughts are simply reactions, but in reality, they are instructions. Your mind is always listening to itself. When you tell yourself you're not enough, your brain will look for evidence to support that. When you tell yourself you can't, your body will refuse to try. But the same rule works in your favor if you choose to change the script. When you tell yourself you are capable, your brain begins searching for strategies instead of exits. When you tell yourself you are strong, your body rises to match the strength of those words. When you tell yourself you will figure it out, you unlock creativity and resilience that fear had hidden from you. Your inner dialogue shapes not only your direction, but also your identity. Every thought is a brick you lay in the foundation of who you believe yourself to be. Over time, those bricks become a structure, a belief system, and that belief system becomes the invisible force steering your actions. If you want your life to change, you cannot just change your circumstances. You must change the operator behind those circumstances. And that operator is your inner voice. Nothing external can override a hostile internal narrative. You can have opportunities and still feel unworthy. You can have support and still feel alone. You can have talent and still play small. But when you master the voice inside you, everything outside you begins to shift. The dangerous part is that your inner voice doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It can be a whisper that slowly convinces you that settling is safer than trying. It can be a quiet sentence that tells you to wait for a better time that never comes. It can be a subtle suggestion that makes you believe other people's opinions matter more than your calling. These whispers accumulate, they stack up. They redirect your life inch by inch until you wake up one day living far from the person you were meant to become. But the beautiful thing is this: you can rewrite that dialogue at any moment. You can interrupt old narratives with new truths. You can choose words that build instead of bury you. You can train your inner voice the way you train a muscle, with repetition, discipline, and intentional focus. The strongest people you know are not strong because life spared them. They are strong because they learned to speak to themselves in a way that aligned with where they wanted to go, not where they had been. Pain is not your identity because pain is an experience, not a definition. It is something you walk through, not something you become. But many people, without realizing it, start to wear their pain like a name tag, as if every wound, every disappointment, every failure has the authority to tell them who they are. Pain is loud, and when it stays with you long enough, it tries to convince you that you are broken, unworthy, or permanently damaged. But pain is a moment, not a lifetime. It may leave scars, but scars are evidence of healing, not evidence of defeat. They show what you survive, not what you are. Pain tries to attach itself to your identity by whispering that what happened to you is all you will ever be. It makes you believe that your mistakes define your intelligence, your heartbreak defines your worth, and your struggles define your potential. When people feel stuck in life, it's often because they have confused their chapter of pain with the title of their entire story. They think, this hurt me, so I must be the kind of person who always gets hurt, or this failure happened, so I must be a failure. This is how pain tricks you. It convinces you that a temporary season is a permanent identity, but you were never designed to live inside the things that wounded you. You were designed to move through them. Pain is a teacher. It teaches clarity, resilience, self-awareness, compassion, and strength. The lessons may be brutal, but they shape you without defining you. The things you survived may have changed the way you see the world, but they did not change the root of who you are. Pain can shape your character without shaping your identity. It can stretch you without replacing you. It can break you open without breaking you down. You can be someone who went through pain without becoming someone whose whole life is built around it. Too often, people hold on to pain because it's familiar. They start to form habits around it, beliefs around it, and eventually a self-image around it. Pain becomes part of the way they speak about themselves, think about themselves, and show up in the world. But familiarity does not equal identity. Just because you lived with something for a long time doesn't mean it belongs to you. Pain is a visitor, not a resident. It is meant to pass through, not take over. The truth is, you are bigger than what hurt you. Long before the wound, you had a purpose. Long after the wound, you still have that purpose. Pain can cloud your vision, but it cannot erase your value. It can slow your steps, but it cannot steal your calling. There is a version of you that is untouched by anything life threw at you, a version that remains strong, worthy, whole, and powerful. That is the real you. Pain may affect you, but it does not define you. It only reveals what was already inside you: perseverance, depth, courage, and the capacity to heal. If you're carrying pain, understand this: you're carrying something that happened, not something you are. The disappointment you felt is not your identity. The betrayal you faced is not your identity. The failure you experienced is not your identity. The heartbreak you endured is not your identity. Identity comes from your character, your choices, your beliefs, your values, your spirit. Pain is simply something you encountered on the way to discovering those things. The moment you stop treating pain as a name and start treating it as a teacher, you begin to reclaim the parts of yourself that pain tried to steal. You rise not because it's easy, but because you're built for it, because inside you there is a strength that doesn't reveal itself until life demands it. Rising has never been about comfort. It has never been about perfect timing, perfect circumstances, or perfect confidence. Rising is about discovering what you're made of when the world pushes you to your knees. Most people think strength is something you gain only through victories, but real strength comes from surviving the things that tried to break you. You rise not because the path is smooth, but because something in you refuses to stay down. Something in you knows that your purpose is bigger than your pain. There will be days when getting up feels impossible, when the weight of what you carry presses against your chest, when the future looks blurry and every voice in your head says, stay where you are, it's safer here. But even in those moments, something deeper speaks, something ancient, something rooted, something unshakable whispers, this is not where your story ends. That whisper is the part of you that was built for adversity. It's the part that understands that pressure creates diamonds, storms strengthen roots, and challenges shape character. Rising is not easy because growth is not easy. It requires you to confront your weaknesses, face your fears, and step into situations that expose every part of you. But rising is also a reminder that weakness does not disqualify you and fear does not control you. You rise with trembling hands. You rise with uncertainty in your chest. You rise with doubt still circling your mind. You rise anyway. Rising has never required you to be fearless. It only required you to be willing. You are built for rising because your life has already proven it. Look at the things you thought would destroy you, but didn't. Look at the moments you believed you would never recover from, yet here you are, still breathing, still standing, still moving. Every challenge you've endured has been quietly preparing you for the next level of your life. Sometimes you don't even realize how much strength you've developed simply because you were too busy surviving to notice. But it's there. It has always been there. You rise because your spirit recognizes that pain is temporary, but purpose is permanent. You rise because something inside you would rather fight for your future than surrender to your past. You rise because staying down feels more painful than getting up. Even when you've lost hope, even when you feel empty, even when you feel defeated, there is a part of you that refuses to let the darkness win. That refusal is your design. That refusal is proof that you were built to endure, built to grow, built to become more than the obstacles in front of you. It's not easy to rise when you're tired. It's not easy to rise when you're hurt. It's not easy to rise when every step feels heavy. But don't mistake not easy for not possible. Rising is in your DNA. Strength is not something you search for. It's something you uncover. Every time you choose to stand up again, you reveal another layer of who you truly are. You reveal resilience that you didn't know you had, grit you didn't know you carried, and courage that had been waiting for its moment to appear. You rise because life will not wait for you to be ready. You rise because destiny will not pause for your fears. You rise because somewhere inside you, you already know that staying down would be a betrayal of everything you're capable of becoming. You were not built to remain in the ashes. You were built to rise out of them stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you were before. The storm is not a sign of your weakness because storms don't show up to expose what you lack. They show up to reveal what you already possess. Too often, people face chaos, heartbreak, uncertainty, or loss and assume it means they did something wrong, that they're not strong enough, prepared enough, or worthy enough. But storms do not appear in the lives of the fragile. Storms find the ones capable of surviving them. They find the ones who carry strength they haven't used yet and courage they haven't activated. The presence of a storm is not proof that you are weak. It is proof that life sees something in you that is powerful enough to withstand the pressure. Weakness is not tested in comfort. Weakness hides in quiet seasons. Weakness shows up when everything is smooth and predictable. But strength reveals itself only when the skies darken, when the wind rises, when the ground shakes beneath you. The storm is the environment where your resilience steps forward, where your endurance stretches, where your true capacity begins to unfold. You don't know how strong you are until the storm demands an answer. And every time you face a storm, you discover another layer of strength that was waiting inside you. People often mistake difficulty for punishment, but storms are not punishment. They are passageways. They are the bridges between who you were and who you are becoming. When life shakes you, it shakes loose the fear, the doubt, the insecurity, the old versions of you that no longer serve your journey. The storm strips away what is unnecessary so that what is essential can stand firm. And the very fact that you are in the storm means you have something worth protecting, worth developing, worth refining. The storm doesn't come to take you down. It comes to lift something out of you. The strongest trees grow in the windiest places. The deepest roots develop in the harshest soil. Likewise, your strength deepens when the environment challenges you. When the storm hits, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, to assume the shaking around you is a reflection of weakness inside you. But surviving the storm, even if you survive it trembling, is evidence that you possess more resilience than you thought. You don't have to feel strong to be strong. Strength is not an emotion. It's a decision you make in the middle of chaos. The storm is also a revealer of truth. It shows you what matters, who stands with you, what you believe about yourself, and what you're capable of walking through. It exposes the areas of your life that need attention and the parts of you that are ready to grow. It shakes your environment, but it does not diminish your worth. In fact, storms often clarify your identity more than calm seasons ever could. In the chaos, you learn what you truly value. In the pressure, you learn who you truly are. Even when the storm feels endless, you are not powerless. You are not empty. You are not collapsing. You are adapting. You are learning how to breathe in high winds. You are learning how to stand when the ground moves. You are learning how to think clearly while everything around you is noisy. These are not signs of weakness. These are signs of internal strength becoming visible. And even when you think you're barely hanging on, the truth is you are weathering something that many would have broken under. The storm does not expose your limits, it expands them. It does not show your weakness, it shows your will. It reminds you that your spirit is stronger than your circumstances, and that courage grows best in the middle of difficulty. The storm is not an enemy, it is an amplifier of the strength that was already living inside you. The storm is not a sign of your weakness because storms don't show to expose what you lack. They show up to reveal what you already possess. Too often, people face chaos, heartbreak, uncertainty, or loss and assume it means they did something wrong, that they're not strong enough, prepared enough, or worthy enough. But storms do not appear in the lives of the fragile. Storms find the ones capable of surviving them. They find the ones who carry strength they haven't used yet and courage they haven't activated. The presence of a storm is not proof that you are weak. It is proof that life sees something in you that is powerful enough to withstand the pressure. Weakness is not tested in comfort. Weakness hides in quiet seasons. Weakness shows up when everything is smooth and predictable. But strength reveals itself only when the skies darken, when the wind rises, when the ground shakes beneath you. The storm is the environment where your resilience steps forward, where your endurance stretches, where your true capacity begins to unfold. You don't know how strong you are until the storm demands an answer. And every time you face a storm, you discover another layer of strength that was waiting inside you. People often mistake difficulty for punishment, but storms are not punishment, they are passageways. They are the bridges between who you were and who you are becoming. When life shakes you, it shakes loose the fear, the doubt, the insecurity, the old versions of you that no longer serve your journey. The storm strips away what is unnecessary so that what is essential can stand firm. And the very fact that you are in the storm means you have something worth protecting, worth developing, worth refining. The storm doesn't come to take you down, it comes to lift something out of you. The strongest trees grow in the windiest places. The deepest roots develop in the harshest soil. Likewise, your strength deepens when the environment challenges you. When the storm hits, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, to assume that the shaking around you is a reflection of weakness inside you. But surviving the storm, even if you survive it trembling, is evidence that you possess more resilience than you thought. You don't have to feel strong to be strong. Strength is not an emotion, it's a decision you make in the middle of chaos. The storm is also a revealer of truth. It shows you what matters, who stands with you, what you believe about yourself, and what you're capable of walking through. It exposes the areas of your life that need attention and the parts of you that are ready to grow. It shakes your environment, but it does not diminish your worth. In fact, storms often clarify your identity more than calm seasons ever could. In the chaos, you learn what you truly value. In the pressure, you learn who you truly are. Even when the storm feels endless, you are not powerless. You are not empty. You are not collapsing. You are adapting. You are learning how to breathe in high winds. You are learning how to stand when the ground moves. You are learning how to think clearly while everything around you is noisy. These are not signs of weakness. These are signs of internal strength becoming visible. And even when you think you're barely hanging on, the truth is you are weathering something that many would have broken under. The storm does not expose your limits, it expands them. It does not show your weakness, it shows your will. It reminds you that your spirit is stronger than your circumstances and that courage grows best in the middle of difficulty. The storm is not an enemy, it is an amplifier of the strength that was already living inside you. When doubt speaks, answer with truth, because doubt is loud, persistent, and often convincing. It has a way of sneaking into your thoughts when you're tired, overwhelmed, or standing on the edge of something new. Doubt does not wait for a logical moment to appear. It shows up exactly when you're about to grow. It whispers fears that sound like facts, insecurities that feel like reality, and limitations that seem immovable. But doubt is not an authority, it is a voice. And just because it speaks does not mean it speaks the truth. The moment you allow doubt to speak without challenging it, it begins to shape the way you see yourself, your abilities, your opportunities, and your future. That's why you must answer it, not with emotion, not with fear, not with panic, but with truth. Doubt says you failed before, so you'll fail again. Truth says your past prepared you. It didn't disqualify you. Doubt says you're not good enough. Truth says you're growing, improving, learning, and evolving every single day. Doubt says other people are more capable, more gifted, more deserving. Truth says comparison is an illusion and your path is uniquely yours. Doubt says you'll never recover from what hurt you. Truth says you've survived everything life has thrown at you so far, and survival is evidence of strength. Every time doubt whispers a lie, truth exists to correct it. The real danger is not doubt itself, but the silence that follows if you don't answer it. Doubt thrives in unchallenged spaces. When you let it speak without responding, it grows roots. It becomes part of your internal dialogue, shaping your decisions and shrinking your vision. But the moment you speak truth back to it, even if your voice trembles, you reclaim control over your narrative. Truth does not need to be loud to be powerful. It simply needs to be present. A single sentence of truth can drown out paragraphs of doubt. Doubt always tries to sound final. It wants you to believe there is no alternative, no possibility, no hope, but truth creates openings. Truth creates options. Truth reminds you of who you are, what you've overcome, and what you're capable of. The reason truth is so powerful is because it roots you in reality, not fear. Doubt imagines worst-case scenarios. Truth reminds you of what's real, what's proven, and what's possible. Doubt magnifies obstacles. Truth magnifies potential. You are not supposed to wait for doubt to disappear. It may never fully vanish. Instead, you learn to overpower it. You train your mind to recognize when doubt is speaking from fear rather than wisdom. Not every fearful thought is a warning. Sometimes it's simply a reflection of your growth. The bigger the step, the louder the doubt. That's why the moments when doubt screams the loudest are often the same moments when truth needs to be spoken with the most intention. Answering doubt with truth is not a one-time act. It's a discipline. It's waking up each morning and choosing to speak to yourself with clarity instead of criticism. It's refusing to let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. It's choosing to believe in your abilities even when your circumstances have not yet caught up. When doubt says you can't do it, truth says you haven't done it yet. When doubt says you're not ready, truth says readiness is built through action. When doubt says you're alone, truth says you've never walked a day of your life without the strength that keeps bringing you forward. The more you answer doubt with truth, the weaker it becomes. Its voice fades, its grip loosens, its influence breaks, and slowly your inner dialogue shifts from insecurity to confidence, from fear to conviction, from uncertainty to purpose. Because truth is not just something you speak, it's something you stand on, and it becomes the ground that steadies you every time doubt tries to shake your foundation. Every battle you survive becomes someone else's inspiration because your story is not just your own. It's a lifeline for someone walking through the same darkness you once fought your way out of. People often underestimate the power of their survival. They think because they struggled, because they broke down, because they cried themselves to sleep, their story holds no value. But very moments you thought were your weakest are the exact moments that make someone else believe they can survive their own storm. What you look at as pain, someone else will look at as proof. Proof that healing is possible. Proof that growth is real. Proof that a person can fall apart and still rise again. Every scar you carry is a map. It shows not just where you've been, but what you had to overcome to get here. Someone somewhere needs to see that map. They need to know that their struggle is not unique, that their pain is not a dead end, that the chapter they are living through is survivable because you already lived it and made it out the other side. We don't inspire others by pretending to be perfect. We inspire them by being honest about the battles that tried to destroy us. When people see strength without struggle, they feel intimidated. But when they see strength that was born from struggle, they feel hope. The battles you survive become stories that carry power. Oh, not the kind of power that shouts, but the kind that whispers, if they did it, maybe I can too. You may never know who is watching you, who is learning from you, who is gaining courage just by seeing you keep going. Sometimes the people you inspire will never tell you, never meet you, never speak your name. They simply see you standing, living, healing, fighting, and something in them awakens. Something in them says, don't quit. Inspiration is contagious, and survival is one of the strongest forms of it. People connect to authenticity, not perfection. They connect to the version of you that fought through the nights of doubt, the days of confusion, the moments of fear. They see your resilience not as a distant trait, but as something they might be able to reach for themselves. When you survive a battle, you don't walk away empty-handed. You walk away with wisdom, compassion, and a deeper understanding of your own capacity. Those things become the tools you pass on to others, even if only through your example. Your survival carries a message. It tells people that pain doesn't get the final say. It tells them that failure isn't permanent. It tells them that healing is possible even when brokenness feels overwhelming. You may think your journey is ordinary, but to someone else, it's miraculous. You may think your comeback is slow, but to someone else, it's inspiring. You may think your progress is small, but to someone else, it's the evidence they need to take their next step. The beautiful truth is that your life is forming bridges. The battles that almost ended you are building paths for others. Your resilience becomes their roadmap. Your courage becomes their fuel. Your rise becomes their reminder that rising is possible. Sometimes the very reason you went through what you went through is so someone else wouldn't have to walk blind. You carry light now, the kind of light you earned, the kind of light that only comes from surviving darkness. And whether you realize it or not, that light is guiding people you may never even meet.